Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
Hello, and welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. Today we have Hong Liem, who has a fascinating journey from somewhere that I love, Disney, into a business which probably touches every family you know in a way, at least if you live, I think, in Western Europe and perhaps around the world. So Hong, thank you so much for joining. Would you please, for the audience, I guess, tell people who you are, what do you do, and really, why do you do what you do?
Thanks, Chris. Thank you for inviting me on this podcast anyway. So very brief introduction. As you already mentioned, I started 2002 at Disney, coming from a fast mover consumer goods company, working with retailers all the time. And Disney had this vision of going into retail where the moms shop. That means household and grocery retail, where they normally weren't present. So when I started at Disney, we were thinking of a way to do that. And one of the ways was to do big branded campaigns, connect a big grocery retailer with the big Disney brand, and make an event out of it. And on the back of that event, Disney could get its business in. So I was doing that for years and years. And without making this a too long introduction, I did a lot of things at Disney. It's a great company to work for, but at a certain point, I was there like 12 years. It was 2013, and we also met, the two of us, and you see people who are doing more entrepreneurial stuff, not within a corporate, but on their own. And then I thought, well, this whole business model of loyalty campaigns for kids and families at grocery retail, which was by then a big thing in the Netherlands, is something that's still untapped in other parts of the world. So why don't I do that myself? So that was my small journey to start with. And so one of the reasons to do that is to see what you can actually do on your own or with your new team, instead of because you're CMO at Disney Benelux and you have a good name on your business card, a good title. So that was one of the drivers. But the more intrinsic value is I saw, actually, besides being a good win-win-win revenue model, that these campaigns were actually bringing joy. And at unga literally means to play. And we like to say we don't sell toys. I'll come to that later. At the end, it's promotional campaigns with toys, but we create smiles on kids' faces, and that's really what drives me. I think myself, I'm still a big child, even at 51. But
I understand that.
So that is one of the drivers. Yeah. Doing fun stuff with fun people, and at the end, making kids happy. And it's like the Disney model. If you create smiles on kids' faces, you have happy kids. Then you find happy moms and dads. Then they go shop more, and you have your happy business-to-business customer, and we all profit from it.
Yeah, right front and center on your website, right when you open it, it says "Play to Grow." That's our philosophy. So, where's the grow part come in? Because the play there is in the discovery.
The play is obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at play and toys purely as simple, let's say, pieces of plastic that you can put in your child's hands and then they are occupied for a while. First of all, I don't think that you really understand your child, but you also miss a big opportunity. If kids play, and even I would also advise that to adults as much as possible to get in touch with your inner child and play. Playing is learning in many respects, many different forms of learning. And one of the most important part is that if you play and you learn and you develop yourself, you grow. You also grow into, let's say, a smart social human being, and that's at the end some of the things that drives us at unga. So behind this, commercial, grocery retail driven, big marketing campaigns with free giveaway toys, which is the simple essence of what we're doing. We really approach it as marketing campaigns where we find a deeper layer. How kids can interact with these toys and actually learn and play. For example, learn about where food comes from, or learn about connectivity with other kids, social learning. And if you do that on a scale backed up with a big grocery retailer, yeah, you actually achieve something. So when it comes to play to grow, we first focus on the kids and growing the families. But it also is an analogy for it's called retail loyalty to grow the business of our B2B customers, because at the end we also drive results. Yeah? It's also play to grow with this gamification at the grocery retailer. They also grow their business. We can drive up revenues 10, 12, 13% during the weeks of these kind of campaigns.
Yeah, I love it that there's so many different definitions of growth, because some of the business coaching I do, and I have this simplicity scan in the center column on that is about growth. And I oftentimes leave it purposely undefined on what growth is. Oftentimes people go straight to financial growth, but it could also be growth in playfulness and growth in, in loyalty and growth in, it's you can define it in so many different ways. And I also see that 70% of families across 35 countries have experienced your playful growing
concepts,
yeah. That's incredible.
It is, and that's we have to update our website all the time, because we're already at 40 countries. So so if you open up a new country with one of the concepts, so our two main concepts, or the ones that are done most internationally, are Little Shop, where kids literally collect miniature versions of fast mover brands. So they get them for free. They want to collect them all. They trade them. It's the brands that participate, like the Coca-Colas and Unilevers and Procter & Gamble's of this world. They're heavily involved and happy with these kind of campaigns. So when kids collect these toys, and they also learn how to literally, they become a supermarket manager. So they also learn how to work with money, and they literally play Little Shop. So that's one of these concepts. The second is Little Garden, which is purely sustainable. It's seeds with seed pots that kids can collect and trade, and then they grow their own gardens with help of mother, and then tips and tricks how to do that, make recipes out of it. So these are just two examples, but they have a deeper layer of play, which is our essence of play to grow. But they're also universal. That's one of the learnings I take from Disney. Like you take a universal marketing idea, something that's relevant for families and kids all over the world, and you literally customize them towards the country. So with Little Shop and Little Garden, our two main concepts, we found out that every country, it works. So that's how they travel quickly. So to answer your question, yeah, these ones are done in more than 20 countries. Meanwhile, that's how we were growing the last 7 years. And now we are, in total, we're active in 40 countries and still opening new countries. And because we work with these big marketing-driven grocery retailers, so that's normally let's say the Tesco's and the Woolworths and the Albert Heijn's of this world, yeah, their impact with our advices and best practices, their impact on the local country can be huge. One of the KPIs of this business model is that you attract customers from other retailers, because the kids see these campaigns, they see it on the schoolyards, and they want to join. So they literally ask their moms and dads, can we shop there?
No,
so if you do it right, you do reach 60-70% activation of families in the country.
It's so incredibly powerful and joyful, because the Little Shop here in the Netherlands, and also the seed pots, I've experienced that with my boys. And not only is it our own family, but it's our extended family, because, if they're missing the little ketchup bottle or something, actually, Om and Opa are then deployed to go out to also, collect these little bags. And there is a playful learning, because, when they set it all up in the box that comes with it, and, and start comparing and contrasting, and you start having conversations about maybe what's in the product, and also, planting the little pots, because in the playroom downstairs, that we lined them all up and made this little sort of greenhouse out of it, and it was it was absolutely delightful. And it sounds like part of this, and the word that I really attribute to you, Hong, if Hong in one word is connector, that and it sounds like what you've been able to do is connect very big brands, to these little toys and then connect those to the retail outlets, which then are connected to the children in the family. And it's just this network of win, 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 win. How did you come up with that? Is that with that? Did you just wake up one morning and go, "Oh, I'm going to connect the world and get Unilever, connected to the families"?
No, and that's going a bit back to the introduction, but and in all, I have to explain it in all modesty because I got a lot of credit, and I think rightfully for this business model that's now it's conquering the world. And for example, Disney as a company is also rolling it out in more and more countries. But it started literally, and this is the honest truth. In 2002, I said Disney hired me because they want to start the growing DVD business and license toys and get that into shops where the moms shop, moms and dads, but mainly moms. So that's grocery retail. And if you're in a country like I was also responsible for Belgium or France or Germany, you have big hypermarkets. If you have a new product coming out, like a DVD, you just literally buy your space. And if it sells to consumer and the retailer makes margin, you're in and something else is out. Well, you've been in the Netherlands long enough now to know that we have a lot of supermarkets, but they're very small. We don't have hypermarkets. So you don't go to Albert Heijn or any other of the other big supermarkets saying, "Hey, this is DVD. It will, trust me, it will become big. Give me some space, throw cereals out." It doesn't work that way. So my first goal that I was hired for at Disney didn't work fine in Belgium and in other countries, but not in Netherlands. So out of need, I went to the CMO of Albert Heijn. I knew him. He's an ex-Procter & Gamble guy, and said, "Hey, why don't we connect these two huge brands, Albert Heijn, at that time the number one brand in the Netherlands, the number one supermarket, and Disney, the number one entertainment brand." And we built a big campaign. And on the back of the campaign, I would like to get my licensed merchandise and my DVDs in. Is that okay? Yeah, great idea. Let's do it. So how do we do that? Yeah, okay. Let's give away toys like it used to be doing, like Disney toys. Collect them all. Looking at the Happy Meal of McDonald's, and he said, "Yeah, good idea, but we're not going to pay it. You're not going to pay it. So who is?" Yeah, Procter & Gamble, because that was his ex-colleagues, and that's the honest truth. So you buy Procter & Gamble products at Albert Heijn, you would collect the Disney toys, everybody happy, and I would get my merchandise and DVDs in. So ticks all boxes. Disney is a very decentral organization. You can invent a lot, and if it delivers money or brand equity, you can do it. But the brand guidelines, they're holy. So you have to call the US in Burbank and say, "Hey, this is my idea. I want to give away Disney Lion King those years, Lion King toys with Procter & Gamble products." And but trust me, it's free. We don't make a lot of it, but we make a lot because we get 2 months in store in the number one retailer. And then he said, "Yeah, great idea. Let's do that. But only one thing. For example, you cannot buy Pampers and get a Disney toy because we have a worldwide exclusivity with Kimberly-Clark Huggies. So from the list of Procter & Gamble products, throw out like half of it." And then I had to go back to the table with the CMO of Procter & Gamble and the one of Albert Heijn saying, "We all love the idea, but Disney in Burbank says not all brands can be connected to Disney." And then out of need, we invented the market, what now is called market basket promotion. All grocery shopping at the retailer are rewarded with a toy. You spend $15 or 15 euro, then you get your toy. You collect them all for 4, 6, or 8 weeks. Procter & Gamble was, in all honesty, the brave one in this, because they said, "Okay, we'll do it. We will pay the 40 million toys." That's also a lot of money for Procter & Gamble Netherlands. We just want tag-ons on your TV commercials, the best spots in stores, the best spot in folders. But at the end, you're also rewarding, let's say, Unilever or Sara Lee sales, Nestle. So then we did that campaign. So everybody was happy. And what happened is there were lines. It was a week long on the national news in the Netherlands. There were lines of kids piling in front of the supermarkets to collect these toys.
Yeah.
The rest is history. So Procter was happy. They calculate everything, and they made their business back. So 1 year later, after the success, so the whole Netherlands Nielsen or GfK index grew 5%, which in food is huge. Albert Heijn, with their share, because of their share, they grew more than 15%. Procter, their brands that were heavily marketed, they were doing 30% plus. So Albert Heijn just said one thing after that. we cut out Procter and Gamble, and this will be our standard, and that's how it all happened. So in a way, it was connecting the dots, but it was also a bit of luck, and then this became the standard grocery promotion model in the Netherlands, and then it within Disney we started translated to other countries like Germany and France, etc.
Yeah. Well, I know, you know, as a sample size of one here, you know, having a 10 and an 11.5-year-old at home, the power of this is incredible, because we have multiple grocery stores that we can choose from, Walmart and a couple Albert Heijns. And depending on what the toy campaign is at that time, will drive us, at least will drive me. I think my wife is less susceptible to this, but you know, if I can help the boys collect toys, then I will drive the extra distance for that. And then and when they've actually missed things, we've actually driven further, you know, because sometimes now the Albert Heijns put boxes out that you can do trading as well. So there's a whole, you know, piles of kids.
Oh, we have huge trading events. And so it can be massive. But on the other hand, you also have to be careful. You don't want to, like I think McDonald's is still a bit doing, fully rely on pester power, like just give away toys, toys maybe with a license on it. Also very often plastic, which we try to avoid with unga. So we use recycled plastic or bioplastics or other sustainable options. So just giving away toys for pester power in also an unsustainable way, I don't think that's the way forward. That's a bit how this market developed and what competitors are doing. So now the next stage is there. You have to bring in, where the play to grow comes in. You have to bring in some more purpose in your campaigns. And you have to also convince moms and dads that it's fine that the kids collect little seedling pots and learn how cauliflower grows, for example, or paprika.
So I'm just curious what, and again, you know, I'm a huge Disney fan. I've spent way too much money on Disney pins in my life. I had to go through a recovery process of that to stop buying pins so much whenever I went to a Disney park. What is the most outrageous sort of fan activity, like collectors or trading, that you've seen with your products?
I've seen a lot, but I just tell you an anecdote from when we ran Little Shop for the first time in now our biggest or best country, Australia. So we ran Little Shop, the small collectible grocery products. And we had a famous collector, Katy Perry. So Katy Perry was on The Voice, and she was showing her collector. We always make these collector cases so that kids can see which one they're missing to collect all 40 or 50 of them. So she was showing her collector and saying like, okay, who can help me, because I'm missing a few and I'm traveling a lot.
Oh wow!
So that gave a little. It was not paid. It was pure free. She did it purely by herself, and it drove a bit of the madness in Australia. And then one of these kidults, they now call them, as a new world, right? New word. So an adult guy who was collecting in Australia, and he was actually traveling in Europe, but he never planned to go to Amsterdam or the Netherlands. But he took an extra plane because he saw unga on the back of the little flow pack with the toys. And so he flew to Amsterdam and came by our office. So he literally looked like a big Australian guy, like you imagine, a big Crocodile Dundee type. And he rang our door and just went in our office saying, yeah, you created this craze in Australia, and no way that I can get all the little toys. So can you please help me? And I'm missing these ones. So people actually fly to other parts of the world to collect them.
Wow.
It can get crazy. You can still find them if you Google this kind of thing, like Kohl's Little Shop. You just find them on eBay sometimes for like $40 for the one little thing. They were trading full collectors. At a certain point, they went for $3,000 for a full collectible tray. It can be crazy.
Well, even from my youth, I have here in the Netherlands a box full of like, little things that I've collected. One was from Taco Bell. They had these little plush puppets, these little chihuahuas that were tied into their commercial, and you squeezed it and it says like "Yo quiero Taco Bell," you know, these funny little. I still have these with me. I'm not going to sell those.
Throw them away.
Yeah. So Hong, if throw them away, never. It's very purpose oriented what you're doing. I'm curious if there is retailers that you wouldn't work with, maybe that are pestering, but based on that definition, or they're not catering to the kid adults, or how do you decide who you would work with or who you would not work with? I imagine that happens sometimes, I suppose.
No, it does happen. I mean, first of all, we still have a company to run, and we wouldn't immediately say no. That would be too harsh to a customer, saying we don't want to work with you. That did actually happen when I was still in my CMO role at Disney. That they said like we don't want to work with hard discount retailers, but then in reality, the Disney global guideline would be don't work with hard discount grocery retailers fully marketed, like in joint marketing, but at the end they still want their business. So no, but to come to your point, if you want to run these campaigns right, certainly in a big operation like a grocery retailer, you have to touch a lot of buttons. So your operation, your cashiers, everybody has to be trained to deliver these programs. Your below, through, and above the line marketing has to be right. Mm-hmm. There is just a way why it's more logical to work for these kind of campaigns with a very marketing driven grocery retailer and not with the more operational hard discount retailer. So we wouldn't immediately say no, but we have a lot of, we don't want to talk to buyers. So sometimes if marketing teams from grocery retailers don't understand what we're actually doing, we say, oh, nice, you sell premium toys. Well, we have a buyer for non-food, to talk to him or her. That doesn't work. So whatever the customer is, we have to have this talk with a CMO or at least a group of marketing directors to explain what this does. And obviously we start, because a lot of countries still haven't run these kind of programs. So obviously we start with ROI. Like if you do good marketing investment, let's say in an above the line theme campaign, you're happy when you do 10% ROI. That's the reality. And then still, even with the TBWAs and other ones saying that they can measure it, it's still hard to measure actually. Yeah. This one is measurable. It does a lot for your brand equity, but it also drives your sales. They call it retail loyalty, but it's in between promotions and longer term brand equity and loyalty. So we have to explain the ROI. If you work with us, a campaign like Little Shop with a lot of brand involvement from fast movers, from your customers, you can do 300% ROI. If you invest $5 to $10 million with us, but you in pure hard net below the line, you make 30 or 40. So we do start. That's not very purposeful. We do start just explaining how the model works. That normally they all get. Then the second stage comes, but if you have to do this right, it's a lot of work, and you have to really market it. You have to build the hype. Yeah. You want kids trading on a schoolyard. That's not easy. We're not a premium company with a catalog and you can buy pens with a logo on it. That's not this. This is purposeful marketing. It's activating kids and families. There a lot jump off. They either think it's difficult, it's too far from their core business. Then we also drop off. Then it will never work. So we're not say at the beginning we wouldn't work with you because you cannot do it. But along the way, and it takes time. We normally need a year before we get to the signature.
Well, it sounds like so many things like this. It really depends on the mindset of that CMO, Absolutely. On whether they get it or not.
Whether they get it, yeah.
And
so
whether
you've been in the Netherlands. Here it's normal now since when I started it in 2002. But if you've never seen it, you have to explain a bit how it works. So we all often also start just with video showing lines of kids in the supermarket. They don't believe it, or they would say, in the Netherlands they collect everything. No, we ran it now in 20 countries.
So is it defensively
so CMO with some cojones? That's the biggest.
Exactly. But I guess defensively for you in unga, because it's not hard maybe to simply make the little items, but it sounds to me like your whole method of activating the capabilities of the retailer and connecting to the others, that there's a lot more to this than just producing a little gadget.
If you just try and call a factory in China and produce these toys, it won't work. You have to take much more boxes. It's a bit of a cliche, this 360-degree marketing, but this is 360-degree marketing. And you have to get it right. And even in the part where it's just supply chain, like producing in time in big bulks and getting the right designs and the right product with limited prices. Also, that's not that easy as it seems, because you have to, if you do it right, you customize and tailor every campaign for every country. And trust me, to get 100 million seed pots from Europe into Australia or New Zealand, that's with customs and clearances, etc.
The Australians are not happy about seeds and other living things coming into their country.
So both in the designing and production and supply chain, you have to be immaculate, because you have just a few months to deliver it all, and it's normally 40, 50, 100 million pieces. That's also in China. That's a lot. And on the other hand, what you said, you have to tick all the boxes in marketing, and that's why we share a lot of best practices. We don't decide for the retailer. We just show how it can be done, and then often we get in touch with their lead agencies or to execute it.
And this is just a thought, dawning on me, because we are literally in the Corona crisis, the COVID crisis right now, with a huge shift to online purchases. And it's less likely that the same volumes of people would go to, grocery stores. What's your strategy to pivot into the online space, or are you just waiting for it to go back to normal?
There are two answers to that, and that was already happened before Corona. Obviously, there was a big trend to going into e-commerce, also for grocery retail. So first of all, we worked with the normal brick and mortar grocery retailers, and then also expanded the campaigns towards their e-commerce sales. And we were a bit like, okay, can you drive the same hypes? But actually, you can. We didn't see a big difference. Just people who order online, they still get their toys rewarded. Yeah. The kids still go and exchange them on the school yachts, etc., etc. So that hurdle was taken. The second one is, what happens if you're a purely brick and mortar e-commerce retailer, no brick and mortar anymore, like Ocado or in Holland Picnic? Those are the ones that we're now talking to, and for us is a big new growth area, because loyalty for purely e-commerce grocery retail is different. They already know their customers, so you cannot do a one-size-fits-all kind of massive 360 campaign. No, you have to tailor it a bit more. So that's where we are working on now, and it looks like we have some good answers, which unfortunately I cannot say too much about yet. But using the same kind of business model and dot connecting for the e-commerce space, And last but not least, the third digital part that we are heavily also now investing in is still normal brick and mortar retail, but digital incentives. So still for families and kids, but collect your digital incentives or let's say discounts for tickets, etc. So experiences for families, which is also very close to our own unga DNA, and that's our next.
No, cool, makes a lot of sense. And I'm just curious about yourself, because you've been doing this since I think 2013, so 7 years, growing like crazy. How do you, as an entrepreneur, keep yourself going and fit and mentally healthy with all of this just rapid expansion going on around you? How do you take care of yourself?
I get energy from that expansion, not growth for growth, but growing the team and the people. And I started with 10 very young people from mainly the Netherlands, and now we are 20 nationalities, mainly in Amsterdam, but also some in China and in South Africa and Australia and New Zealand. But we all share a certain DNA. And when I said in the beginning, when I left Disney, I wanted to do that. That's still one of my driving mottos. I want to do fun stuff with fun people. It's also how you and me met.
That was one of our binding, philosophies there.
For me, that's still the case. So we get, and I'm very proud that while we were growing, we actually, from the 70 people that we have now, only through all the 7 years, only 2 people left because they wanted to go do another job. The others all stay. You see, sometimes you have to let go of somebody because they don't. You just don't get to each other what you expect from people. But that also happened. But really, people leaving for their own motivation, that didn't happen. And that drives me as well. So you grow your team, you grow your company. That's also a play to grow, but then more for us at unga, in a playful way. So that's why it's a pity that I'm doing this podcast from home. And not from the office, but you can see the vibe literally. Normally, if the 20 nationalities are walking around there, it's just a lot of fun. It's a great ride. And I also like to travel. So that also helps me. Obviously, these are grocery retailers. They don't fly to you. You fly to them. And I like that. I get energy from seeing these little cultural differences and trying to explain to somebody in South Africa that actually this campaign from the Netherlands might work there with some little twitches. So those are two important things.
Outstanding. Hong, thank you so much. We need to wrap up. These things always fly by. This has been just delightful. And it's Hong Liem, Liem on LinkedIn. And unga is available. You can find it at the website, which is un.ga. And that is the actual website, unga. So I will include those links in the show notes attached to the podcast. And Hong, this has been absolutely delightful. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon in our office. Let's drink a beer there. We have a good bar.
Let's do that.
Thanks.
Learn more at ebillion.com/podcast.